Hey guys! Tonight we're diving back over 3,000 years into the gentle, vibrant pulse of ancient Egypt, not as a priest, a pharaoh, or a mummy, but simply as yourself, an everyday person starting another unusual day by the Nile's edge. Your sleeping mat is rigid from years of use, your back feels a bit achy, and a mosquito has just made a quick getaway from your ear. The sky remains a hazy purple gray, not fully dawn yet, but getting there. And you, like any true resident of this realm of deities and desert, don't linger for the sun. You rise alongside it. A rooster crows from somewhere close by, though it's not one of yours. You don't really have livestock, although occasionally your neighbor's goat strays into your cooking area and acts like it owns the place. The air carries the scent of mashed reeds, charcoal, and whatever your brother tracked in last night once the beer was gone. You push yourself up. The mat rustles beneath you. You stretch over to the little recess in the wall, holding your protective charm. It's a basic etched scarab, polished smooth from handling. You murmur a vague prayer to Tauret quietly, not fully alert. She's the goddess with a hippo's body and a lion's claws. And honestly, she's intimidating in the most reassuring way. You extend your limbs, and as you do, you catch the initial sounds of neighbors stirring as well. Someone tips over a vessel. Someone curses. Someone sneezes and rouses an infant. The day starts unfolding. You're not from nobility. You're not wealthy. But you're breathing. And that holds real value here. Existence in Egypt isn't a simple path. It's a balance between the living world and the beyond. You don't rise just because you're refreshed. You get up because your body craves food and your spirit seeks harmony. Ma'at, the universal equilibrium. And if you disrupt it too much, you'll learn about the afterlife the tough way. But for the moment, your main task is straightforward. The ground is gritty, your feet are parched, your mouth has the flavor of last day's onions, and your neighbor's incense is drifting in through a gap in the wall. It's time to cleanse. But not with water. No, that's reserved for the Nile, for important matters. You grab a small amount of natron, that powdery white salt mined from dried lake beds, and as holy as any ritual, and you apply it to your underarms, your face. It tingles a touch, but that's a sign it's effective. You recite the safeguarding phrases your grandmother passed down. Part cleanliness, part banishment. Spirits from your dreams might still linger on your skin, particularly after that vision with the ibis and the drifting teeth. To be cautious, you also exhale on your palms and click your fingers toward the corner. That's where negative forces tend to lurk. Outside, a person is already invoking the deities, or perhaps they're just scolding the cat once more. It's tough to distinguish. You walk out right as the sun touches the tops of the palms. The mud brick walls of your lane shine with a pink-orange hue, and the air feels fresher here, like pressed lotus and heated earth. You stop briefly, observing how the light bends around the distant temple's edge. It's odd how something can seem so stunning when you encounter it daily. The sun in Egypt doesn't merely ascend, it unveils. Everything becomes radiant. And abruptly, your lane isn't simply a spot for donkey waste and kids without shoes. It's a route to the divine, or at least to the bread maker. But prior to that, you glimpse your reflection in a shattered piece of shiny bronze mounted like a mirror by the entrance. The natron did its job, certainly, but your hair is a mess, and your linen garment, if it can be called that, is creased like old fig leaves. You flatten it with saliva on your hand. It'll do. Today could be challenging. The tax collector is due in the village, which means someone will weep, someone will offer a bribe, and someone might stage their own demise to avoid paying for pig waste. But you'll aim to make it through until evening. All right, before you settle in too comfortably, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe, but only if it feels right. And share in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you right now. Lower the lights. Turn on that fan for some ambient noise. And let's relax into this evening's small journey. You head back indoors and collect the remaining items for your day. Your small reed basket is already partially filled. Half a flat barley loaf covered in worn fabric. A twig of dried mint your sister swears repels flies. And one hard-boiled quail egg that has a mildly suspicious odor. But it'll be okay if consumed before midday. You slip in a piece of linen for tying your hair or making a quick bandage. You never can tell. From the corner, your youngest brother mumbles in his slumber. He kicks the wall as if battling the godset personally. You fling a worn sandal at his feet and whisper, "It's your shift for water fetching," before heading out the door. The light has changed. The Nile is stirring now, extending its reach, sparkling beyond the roofs and date palms. Herons flap idly over the reeds. Somewhere, a person is playing a flute, poorly but enthusiastically. You go by the neighbor's entrance, where a woman has set out a tray of clay containers with leftover stew. She gives a casual wave, not lifting her gaze from the infant she's swaddling so tightly the little one resembles a small mummy. You acknowledge her. Mention something courteous about the weather, which is always hot or a bit hotter, and navigate around a goat doing its business on a sandal. Not yours this time. At the corner shrine, you halt once more. It's modest, merely a weathered niche in a mud brick wall. But someone has placed fresh palm leaves inside, along with a smear of honey on a flat rock. That'll attract flies by midday, but for now, it's lovely. You touch your fingers to your lips, and then to the depiction of Bess, the dwarf god with the lion's mane, and the smile of someone who knows secrets. He's your preferred guardian of households, kids, and honestly, a bit of a reveler. You whisper, "Keep the roof secure today, and my sandals whole, please." Then you're moving on. The paths in your village are tight, twisting, and noisy. Children dash barefoot among pots. Women call out directions to unseen spouses. And someone is pursuing an escaped chicken that seems allied with disorder itself. You avoid a splash of mud, leap over a lifeless lizard, and avoid stumbling on a sleeping dog that somehow exudes majesty. But then, something truly peculiar draws your attention. Perched on a window ledge like a confident little figure is a cat with a necklace. Not out of the ordinary, but this one sports a small collar of cowrie shells and blue beads, the type usually saved for fancy charms or dubious proposals. The cat blinks at you. You blink in return. You think about bowing, just to be safe. You continue past the grain storage. You hear the steady thud of grinding stones. The air has the aroma of grain particles and effort. Two women are already deep in flour and chatter, and you overhear the tail end of a phrase. "And then he had the audacity to give me old beer, as if my body doesn't merit proper brewing." Ah, love. A boy goes by you, pulling a basket of fish heads. He's coated in scales and smiling like he's triumphed in battle. You give him a sympathetic look and ponder if that's your afternoon ahead. And then you arrive at the old wall, fissured, baked by the sun, with a single mark etched into it. Not a hieroglyph, not an artwork, just a kid's rough sketch of a boat with a stick person waving from the deck. Perhaps it's meant as homage to Ra's vessel, or maybe it's simply a child imagining sailing away from here. Either way, you pause, grin, and sense a small shift in your heart. Because that's the essence of awakening in ancient Egypt. No matter how dusty, how noisy, how tangled the day may be, it always starts with a touch of wonder, whether from the sun, the gods, or the utterly silly cat with a necklace. And as you take your initial true strides toward the bakery, the field, the workshop, wherever your work leads, you cling to that tiny spark of odd beauty. It's going to be a long day, but for now, you're alive. And in this land, that's no minor feat. You've hardly passed the narrow passage when a sudden puff of strong smoke drifts into your nostrils, part incense, part smoldering dung. Ah, yes, the morning purification of your neighbor's fireplace. He insists on the technique. It drives away flies and spirits in one sweep. You're not sold on the flies. The spirits, though, who can say? Egypt is filled with invisible elements. Now, before you even consider breakfast, you need to get properly clean. Not the fast natron scrub from before. That was only to rouse your spirit and fend off whatever hid in your dream's shadows. This is about real grime, about showing yourself to the world as someone with intent, even if you're just off to mix clay or guide ducks. So you head to the communal washing spot near the village's outskirts, where runoff from a shallow ditch collects in a dip shaded by ragged sycamores. You kneel next to a few other early birds, an elderly man with hair like thin reeds, a girl splashing water at her little brother, and a teen who appears either sleepless or regretting his choices. You cup the water and splash it on your face. It's tepid, cloudy, and has a light green scent like damp moss and algae. But it'll serve. There's no soap. What you have is ashes and ground limestone. A coarse paste you blend in your palm with a drop of water and a prayer. You rub it along your arms, your neck, behind your ears. You hum a short melody under your breath. Something inherited from your mother's mother about driving off the chaos God set. It's not exactly an incantation, not exactly a melody, but somewhere between. The teen next to you pulls out an ivory comb and starts detangling his hair. He's obviously trying to look sharp for someone, though he acts nonchalant. You notice the revealing mark of henna on his nails. Someone celebrated last night. Then you tackle the hardest part, your feet. After a day of trudging through dust, dung, and sharp stones, they're a mess. You scrape them with the edge of a broken pot shard, rinse them again, then dry them on the hem of your linen. And yes, you're in the same linen you slept in. You just turn it inside out. Classic Egyptian efficiency. A woman opposite you grunts contentedly as she opens a small clay jar of what seems like thick green paste. She spreads it on her arms. You inquire what it is. She smiles. Crocodile dung and frankincense for radiant skin. You lift your eyebrows. She shrugs. My husband hasn't grumbled. You're not about to experiment with it. With the dirt handled and your spirit still buzzing from the prayers, you stand and stretch. The air is heating up quickly, flies are starting to stir, and you know they'll begin their rounds soon. You apply a drop of lotus oil behind your ears, not just for fragrance, but to confuse the bugs. It's not perfect, but at least you won't smell like fish heads by noon. You move aside as another woman shows up, carrying her youngest on one hip and balancing a basin on her head. Her child stares at you the entire time, like he has a secret you don't. He probably does. Just as you're ready to depart, The old man who'd been scrubbing his hands next to you mutters. You missed behind your left ear. You reach up, chagrined. He's correct. Somewhat clean, humbled, and slightly shiny in the growing warmth, you make your way back toward home. But you're not finished yet. Washing is one thing. Dressing is a whole separate ceremony. And in this world, even your tunic can speak louder than your words. Back home, the house is already more lively than at sunrise. Your sister is reprimanding a goose that has wandered into the kitchen again. The goose is holding its ground. Someone is pounding something in a mortar with a steady beat, like a drummer for the gods. You dodge a jug of spilled milk, nearly trip on a sandal, and come face to face with your cousin's youngest child, who is somehow already covered in charcoal and laughing like a small spirit. But none of that concerns you, because right now, you're focused on appearance. In ancient Egypt, dressing isn't merely about covering up. It's about identity, rank, ceremony, and perhaps a dash of pride. Linen is your preferred material when you can get it. It allows air in the heat, flows in the breeze, and shines when the light catches it right. You have only 2 outfits, one for labor, one for display. You pick something in between today, a plain linen kilt, folded neatly, still carrying a hint of aroma from the last time you burned juniper branches near it. You smooth it and pull it on, fastening it with a basic belt. You check the pleats. Not too rumpled, not too transparent. You've heard the whispers when someone's garment is too see-through, especially if they're unmarried. You, naturally, would never do that intentionally. Your hair is a different story. If you had means, you'd wear a wig. Perhaps one treated with beeswax and scented fat cones that melt gradually in the sun, releasing scent all day. Today, though, you go with your natural hair, combed back as tidily as possible, and lightly oiled with something that has a faint smell of fennel and garlic. You hope the garlic fades soon. A cousin offers you a dash of perfume, kef made from wine, myrrh, honey, and a dozen other ingredients no one recalls in order. You apply a bit to each wrist, then press your fingers to your throat. You smell like a sanctuary and perhaps a treat. Fine. Then comes the accessories. Oh yes, even if you're modest, you have something. A beaded necklace of faience, the glazed stone the color of river water, a carved ring shaped like a lotus and hidden under your linen, a small amulet on old string. It's formed like an eye, not just for style. It's to keep certain gods from spotting you, the wrong gods. You look in the cracked bronze mirror again. This time, your reflection nods back with a hint of assurance. You appear like someone with direction, or at least like someone who intended to. The kitchen is overcrowded, so you step out again, just in time to see a neighbor's daughter rush across the path, pursuing a papyrus scroll caught in the wind. She wears a blue sash, a sign she's been admitted to the scribal school. She looks proud. Her brother behind her trips and falls face first into a basket of figs. Less proud. You smile. It's a good morning so far. You feel fresh, scented, and ready. Or as ready as one can be in a land where hippos can end you, cats can turn sacred, and priests sometimes converse with statues that respond. Down the street, a man in a long priest's robe passes quietly, shaved head gleaming in the sunlight. Everyone quiets a bit as he goes by, even the goose. You adjust your belt, straighten your shoulders, and follow the footpath toward the shrine. You've cleansed your body, yes, but now it's time to tend to your ka, your life force. Before the world gets complicated, before sweat and blisters and stray oaths fill the air, You need to offer thanks, or at least placate the watchers. Because in ancient Egypt, purity isn't just close to divinity, some days it is divinity. You walk lightly along the dusty trail toward the shrine, linen moving with each step, the morning sun warming your oiled skin. You're not aiming to dazzle the gods precisely. They see past surfaces, but still it can't hurt to arrive looking respectable. If they're observing, and let's face it, they always are, you might as well shine a little. Outside the shrine, a girl is sweeping the entrance with a palm frond broom. Her movements are rhythmic, almost ritualistic. You nod to her, and she gives a quick look at your attire. Not critical, just assessing. That's how it is here. People don't always voice much, but, oh, they're noting it. The shrine is a simple stone enclosure today, not one of the grand temples of Thebes. No pillars coated in rich ochre or massive statues of falcon-headed Horus staring into your soul. This one's local, plain, personal. It smells of ash, myrrh, and that unique metallic tang of ancient stone. You duck in, and the temperature drops, cool, almost holy. You kneel before the small statue of Hathor, carved from polished sycamore wood, inlaid with bits of lapis lazuli. Her cow ears are delicate, her smile just amused enough to make you think she knows about your night last week. From the pouch at your side, you pull out a few offerings, a sliver of dried fig, a pinch of barley, and a tiny clay bead. Not much, but it's what you have. You whisper your gratitude, nothing eloquent, just sincere. Keep us nourished, keep us protected, and if you could perhaps help me not drop the grain jars today. As you place the offerings, you catch your reflection in a small bowl of water by the statue's feet. It's murky, rimmed with petals. Someone else has visited this morning, likely more than one, and as you lean closer, you spot something tucked behind the statue. A charm, perhaps. No, wait. Is that a piece of someone's braid? Neatly tied with a single bead. Huh? Either someone's making a romantic plea, or Hathor's keeping her own mysteries. You don't touch it. You've seen what happens when people tamper with another's shrine gifts. There was that boy last spring who took a roasted goose intended for Osiris. He broke out in boils the next day and had to sleep in a goat pen for a week. Coincidence? Maybe. But no one risked it again. When you come out from the shrine, the sun has fully taken the sky. The world is noisy now. Dogs barking, children shouting, cartwheels creaking. You head back to your family's courtyard where breakfast preparation is nearly done. Your mother is bent over a clay oven, turning thin flatbreads with a wooden paddle. The aroma is rich and sour from barley fermentation and smoke. You snatch a corner piece before anyone sees and blow on it to cool. Hot, fresh, barely charred. Next to the oven, your aunt is stirring a pot of stewed lentils and onions. She hums a song older than recall, one that mentions crocodiles, date wine, and something about a god's elbow. You've never fully grasped the words, but the melody clings to you. A cousin brings a tray with clay cups, morning beer, weak, cloudy, sour, and vital. You sip it gradually, letting it rinse down the bread. Not luxurious, but it calms your stomach and eases the remnants of sleep. Around you, the family operates like a smoothly running mill. Food is passed, jugs refilled, jokes exchanged like barter. You're all varying ages, builds, moods. But at breakfast, you function as one weathered, sun-kissed unit. And then, without warning, you all tilt your heads slightly by instinct because you hear it. The sound of sandals slapping against stone. Official ones. You don't need to look to know who. That purposeful, steady rhythm, slap, 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 signals the arrival of someone with rank and power, perhaps both. Sure enough, rounding the corner with dust swirling at his feet like loyal smoke, comes the local scribe, linen robes straight as rules, stylus behind one ear, and a face like he already disapproves of it all. He doesn't look anyone in the eye, which means he's seeing everything. You sit taller. Your cousin hides the extra beer cup behind her back. Your aunt makes a fast gesture with her fingers. Part blessing, part ward against the evil eye on our home. The scribe glances at your household altar. Clean, illuminated, suitable offerings. Good. His eyes linger a second more on your tunic. You resist pulling it straighter. He whispers a note to himself and moves on. The slap-slap recedes. You exhale. Now that the display is over, everyone eases up. Your mother gives you a second piece of bread, less charred this time, a silent thanks for good behavior. You take it, split it, and chew slowly, gazing at the palm trees swaying beyond the rooftop. But you're not done dressing. Not yet. Because clothing in Egypt isn't just cloth. It's a message. And today, you might need to convey a lot. You go to the family chest, a rough wooden box sealed with an amulet etched with an eye of Horus. It's more ornamental than secure, but no one dares open it. Inside, festival jewelry, scraps of colored fabric, the fine sash, and yes, the coal stick. You dip it into the small jar of soot and crushed galena. Tilt your head a bit and line your eyes, top and bottom. A smooth, familiar motion. You don't need a mirror. You've done this since you could reach the shelf. Some say it's for beauty. Some say it wards off illness. The truth, likely both. Either way, it makes your gaze look sharp and earnest. And in this village, that means a lot. You saw how the merchant's daughter eyed you last market day. You didn't speak, but she noticed. You find your simple necklace again, a thin leather cord with a carved ankh hanging from it. It's cracked and a bit uneven, but it was your father's, and you wear it on important days. A quick look at the sky tells you time is slipping faster than you'd prefer. You grab your satchel, toss in the leftover bread, and check your feet. Still free of dust. A small wonder. Before leaving, you approach the household shrine one last time. Not the big one from earlier, just the tiny home altar. A chunk of limestone vaguely shaped like a seated figure with dried lotus petals scattered around. You press a finger to your lips, then to the stone. No prayer this time, just routine, just honor. And now you're prepared. The village path calls again. Busier now. Neighbors in varying levels of linen elegance. Children darting between legs. One woman wearing so many shell bracelets, she jingles like a tambourine. You smile. That's her way of dressing up. Respect. As you walk, you pass a man in nothing but a simple waistcloth, carrying a pot on his shoulder and debating with a goat. Two old women in matching blue sashes walk arm in arm, gossiping in tones that suggest scandal, though all you hear is the word lentils repeated. And for a moment, the breeze lifts the hem of your tunic, and you feel light. Like all the morning routines, the dust, the sweat, the prayers and paint and precautions, it was all protection. And now that you're dressed, you're not just covered. You're equipped. You aren't nobility. But in this instant, as the sun climbs higher, and the day truly starts, you look and feel just as an Egyptian should, balanced, adorned, and just intriguing enough to be seen. The aroma reaches you before the entrance does. Roasted barley, mildly sour beer, and the distinct scent of freshly sliced onions. It's time for breakfast, and your stomach has started a quiet, optimistic growl. But this meal isn't only nourishment, it's a communal practice, both grounded and holy. You duck into the courtyard where your extended family is beginning to assemble on low reed mats under a shaded awning of woven palm leaves. It's already warm, and the bread is still steaming from its crust. A broad clay tray sits in the middle, piled with the essentials of your world. Flat barley loaves, a bowl of lentil paste flavored with coriander and leeks, and a bunch of dried dates arranged with the precision of a temple gift. You sit cross-legged next to your uncle, who's already dipped his bread into the paste without delay. He chews noisily, which means he likes it. A cousin passes you your share. No plates, just bread serving as spoon, bowl, and napkin all in one. The barley loaf is coarse and substantial, dotted with cracked grains. It was baked hours ago in a dome-shaped oven outside, and though it's crunchy on the outside, the inside is thick and satisfying. You tear off a corner and scoop up lentils, enjoying the zing of garlic and the crisp bite of onion. Then you chase it with a date, soft and chewy, simple, fulfilling, and if the gods are looking, sufficient. But food by itself doesn't sustain you, not here. In Egypt, a meal nourishes not only your body, but your ka, your vital essence. And to overlook that is to ignore half of your being. So after your initial bites, you reach into the small satchel by your side and pull out a crumpled cone of incense. You ignite it with a glowing coal kept warm in a little clay cup near the hearth. A cloud of sweet smoke rises into the air. Myrrh and acacia blending with the scent of lentils and dust. Your aunt whispers a few words as she tosses a pinch into the hearth fire. "For the ancestors," she says, "and for shielding from evil spirits." Then comes the small shrine ritual, a tiny carved statue of a god. This one's Osiris today, sits near the wall on a worn wooden shelf. Your family rotates them. Some days it's Bastet, others Thoth, depending on the need. Osiris is for continuity, for safeguard, for keeping things steady. He doesn't demand much, but you'd be foolish to disregard him. You tear off another small piece of bread and place it near the statue beside the fading lotus left there yesterday. Just a morsel, a symbolic gift. Enough for your ka to acknowledge. Enough for Osiris to know you're making an effort. As you eat, the family discusses minor things always. The weather, the new scribe's sandals, the dream someone had about a crocodile playing a harp. Everyday matters. But you notice something else, too. Something subtle, always under the surface. A sort of equilibrium. Every action has its reflection. Every word its significance. You don't just eat for yourself. You eat to maintain the world's order in Masat. Even the beer has a purpose. Your mother hands you a clay cup filled with the pale, frothy liquid. It smells like sour porridge and aged honey. You take a sip. It's weak, fermented, barely bubbly, but it's part of the flow. You drink it because your ancestors did, because it keeps the dust from your throat, because it's what your body anticipates before facing the heat. And across the courtyard, you spot the cat again, the same smug little creature from earlier. But this time, it's calmly licking the bread offering you left for Osiris. You lock eyes. The cat doesn't blink. You stare at the cat mid-lick, mid-theft. A tiny loaf crumb hangs from its chin like a prize. You know better than to interrupt. This is Egypt, after all. Cats aren't merely pets here. They're observers, signs, little deities in fur, and taking an offering. Well, perhaps the gods sent the cat as a messenger. That's the tale you'll tell Osiris later. The rest of the family doesn't see. They're too occupied dipping, chewing, passing clay jugs of beer. You take another piece of bread, pretend it was intended for the cat all along, and set it near the shrine again. The cat accepts this kindly, curls into a ball, and begins to purr with the contentment of a god who just levied a tax on your spirit. Breakfast wraps up gradually. It always does. No one hurries this part because after this comes work. After this comes dust, sweat, sunburn, and sore feet. This meal isn't just sustenance, it's protection. And it's the final calm instant before the day seizes you by the shoulders and hurls you into it. You lean back for a moment, watching as your mother uses the edge of a reed basket to fan the coals. Your cousin hums a tune softly. Something from the last festival, perhaps, or something more ancient. You can't distinguish. It sounds like it was etched into stone. Across the way, your older brother has pulled out a piece of parchment. He's drawing something in the corner with a thin stick of charcoal. Maybe a crocodile, maybe a house. Either way, he's not great at it. You tease him. He grins, then throws a date pit at your forehead. It hits your eyebrow. Fair play. The laughter is short but complete. This is what keeps the dust from settling in your bones. Then, as the last bits of bread vanish and the jugs are emptied, someone stands. It's always someone. There's no declaration, no order, just a single person rising from the shade and stepping into the sun. Time to move. One by one, the others stand too, brushing crumbs from their laps, adjusting sandals, stretching backs. You do the same. You grab your satchel, sling it over your shoulder, and give a final nod to the little shrine, the crumb-covered cat, and your aunt, who's already started scrubbing pots with a look that says she better not find soot on the bottom this time. You head out the doorway and back into the bright, busy morning. This time, you're not solitary. You're part of the flow now. People are streaming into the streets. Traders with bundles of woven items, old men with walking sticks, girls balancing jars of water on their heads with the grace of birds. And everywhere the low murmur of voices like the Nile itself whispering over stone. People are talking, laughing, arguing already. A donkey brays somewhere behind you. A child shrieks with joy. Someone sneezes, and someone else blesses them before they finish. You glance over your shoulder once more at your courtyard, now empty except for the cat, who is licking its paw like a content priest. You wonder briefly what it's like to be a being who's always fed, always revered, and never expected to haul grain sacks. Probably dull, probably divine. And with that, you turn ahead. You've fed your belly, your ka, and hopefully your gods. You've been cleansed, dressed, and scented. You've taken part in the rituals that hold this world together. Bread, beer, smoke, and respect. Now comes the part where you confront the day, and as the dust rises under your feet and the sun bears down like the weight of a pyramid on your back, you realize you're not anxious, you're prepared. The village path narrows into a labyrinth of sun-baked alleys, each scarcely wide enough for two to pass shoulder to shoulder. Mud brick walls close in, decorated here and there with faded symbols, watchful eyes, rough birds, and once suspiciously a donkey with a crown. No one ever admitted to that one. You shuffle sideways to let an old woman pass, her basket towering above her head, its contents swaying with every step. She doesn't thank you, just gives a sniff of approval. In Egypt, silence can be courtesy or judgment or both. The day has fully come. The heat isn't rising anymore. It has risen like a lion claiming its territory in the sky. You can feel it settle on your shoulders, a dry, familiar weight. The scent of warming clay fills your nose, mixing with a sharper tang of donkey dung, which steams gently in a nearby pile like it has plans. You're not walking alone. The village pulses in rhythm now, bakers balancing trays of loaves on their heads, potters with clay-coated arms heading to workshops, scribes clutching satchels, already frowning in concentration. Children run barefoot, screaming some game that involves a lot of sand and even more cheating. You greet known faces as you pass. The woman who dyes cloth in beet juice and walnut husks, her hands forever stained purple. The reed mat weaver who always complains about his sore back while never stopping. The boy who raises geese and swears one of them can open doors. Everyone's heading somewhere. Even the stray dogs seem to have plans. You duck under a low awning where two women are hanging fresh laundry. Linen sheets flapping like sails in the breeze. One of them smirks and says something about your sash being a bit bold today. You laugh, but you adjust it anyway. Beyond the houses, the path opens into a small square. The ground here is packed hard by generations of sandals and steps. It's not impressive, just wide enough for carts to pass, for sellers to call out, for gossip to echo from wall to wall like a well-thrown seed pod. Here, the world feels louder and rougher. A merchant shouts, trying to sell roasted locusts. You decline politely. Another yells about a miracle charm that guards against hippos. You raise an eyebrow. Hippos aren't exactly a common village problem, but hey, better protected than devoured. You spot a young woman carrying a clay jar twice her size, teeth gritted, posture straight. She's not struggling, but she wants you to think she is. You offer help. She refuses, then thanks you after you've walked 3 steps away. It's all part of the routine. You turn toward the fields where today's labor awaits. But before you leave the square, something odd catches your eye. A figure crouched in the shadow of a wall, half concealed behind a broken water jug. He's pale with dust, in a robe that might once have been white. He's etching something into the wall with a pottery shard. You pause. The lines aren't random marks or doodles. They're deliberate, repeating, geometric. You lean closer, just enough to see. It's a calendar. A homemade one scratched into the wall like a secret. Lunar symbols, notes for floods, marks for what might be harvest festivals or personal dates. He looks up, startled. You don't say anything, just nod as if to say, "Keep going, calendar man." He nods back, and then you're walking again. You haven't gone far when the shouting begins. 2 men, loud, angry, arms flailing, words flying faster than arrows. Something about a lost goat or a stolen basket, or maybe a daughter being courted without approval. It's hard to tell. They're yelling too quickly for sense. Everyone keeps moving. No one's surprised. It's just another morning chorus in Egypt. You try not to stare, but it's difficult. The argument is playing out like a theater piece. One man with wild gestures, the other gripping a bundle of herbs like a weapon. The herbs are wilting dramatically. Words fly. Liar. Thief. A man whose goose has no honor. Now that's a phrase. A small crowd gathers, not to step in, but to enjoy the show. One woman starts betting on how long before someone mentions someone's grandmother. You edge past with practiced nonchalance, but you store the best insult, son of a dung beetle who can't roll straight, in your mind for later. Then, like all village disorder, it falls apart. A passing priest claps sharply once. The men freeze, look embarrassed, and go their separate ways with dramatic huffs. The crowd scatters. The moment disappears like it never was. You continue toward the outer path, where the village thins and the world widens. The scents shift here. Less food, more baked earth and distant water. A dusty wind brushes your cheeks. You pass homes with small gardens of herbs and onions cared for despite the heat. A few date palms reach overhead, casting lacy shadows on the path. A boy chases a runaway goat up a hill. The goat is winning. A girl nearby stacks clay pots like it's a competition. She has balance like a dancer and focus like a hawk. You can't help but admire it. She's about 12. A little further, you pass a man crouched by a ditch, whispering to something inside. You look down, and there it is. A baby crocodile, barely an arm long, blinking up like it has a secret. The man is cooing to it, scratching its head. You overhear him murmuring, "He'll keep the rats away if I feed him first." You nod slowly. Sure, that's one approach to pest control. The path curves, and now you're beside the irrigation canal, dug with exhausting labor generations ago. Water sparkles in the channel, hardly moving, but always there. You see shadoofs, those smart wooden levers for lifting water from the canal into nearby ditches. One boy works the pole like he was made for it, pulling water with a rhythm that matches the cicadas buzzing close by. As you pass, he grins and shouts, "Race you to the river!" And then he promptly trips into a bush. His friend laughs until he chokes on a fig. It's getting hotter now. The sun rises relentlessly, and you can feel the sweat building under your linen, slicking your arms and back. You wipe your brow with the edge of your sash and push on. Past the canal is the workshop area. Less graceful, more smoke. You can see wisps of soot rising from charcoal fires. The potters, smiths, and weavers are already deep in their tasks, surrounded by piles of raw materials, half-done items, and enough noise to rattle your head. But before you reach the work site, you stop at a favorite place. A large stone slab under a tree, cool and shaded, etched with faint carvings. It's nothing formal, just a rock. But for years, people have left their marks on it. Small drawings, names, bits of stories. Your mark is there too. A little boat with a crooked sail and a sun above. You touch it once, a nod to the you who made it years ago. A reminder that even the tiniest scratch in stone can endure beyond your name. Then you stand. The day is calling, and the labor, the dust, the chant of sweat and sun. It's all just starting. The first thing that strikes you when you enter the workshop isn't the warmth, it's the noise. A solid, forceful rhythm of human effort. The click of chisels on limestone, the thump of mallets on clay, the shuffle of sandals over packed dirt. It's like entering the chest of a massive living creature with every pulse pounding out work, work, work. This isn't a spot for peaceful reflection. This is where Egypt's framework gets formed. Your job today is at the granary, which is a nice way of saying carrying sacks of grain while getting scolded by 3 different people for doing it incorrectly. You're not by yourself. Dozens of other villagers are already there. Sleeves tied back, heads wrapped in linen to block the sun, necks glistening with sweat. A man you know, Beck, waves you over. His forehead is smeared with dust, and he smells like the inside of a bread oven, but he's smiling like he's discovered treasure. "Lucky you," he shouts. You're on ox dung duty. He laughs so hard he almost drops the barley sack on his foot. You groan. He's kidding, probably. You start working fast. Grain doesn't shift itself. Sacks need stacking. Piles need sorting. Someone hands you a wide wooden scoop, and you fall into a pattern. Bend, lift, pour, brush, repeat. It's mindless, and that's sort of the goal. Your body handles the labor while your mind wanders to dreams, to songs, to far-off gods observing through beams of sunlight. All around, chants emerge. Not official hymns, but the repeating work songs of the field. One woman begins, "Pull it, stack it, don't drop it now." Another chimes in, "Unless you want your mother to tan your brow." Soon, half the group is singing. It's absurd. It's off-key, and it's the only thing keeping your knees from buckling. And in the background, the overseer observes. His role isn't to assist. Oh no. His role is to yell vague instructions, tally sacks, and glare like it's a competition. He wears a necklace with a carved scarab amulet, supposedly for strength. You suspect it just warms his neck. Once he caught someone trying to skim barley into their own pouch, didn't say a word, just stared until the thief dropped the grain and ran. You still share it like a ghost tale, but it's not all toil. Between jobs, you get brief pauses, small glimpses of rest. You lean on a stack of crates and notice two boys etching something into a wall behind the tool shed. You walk over. "What are you doing?" you ask. They point proudly. It's a scene in miniature. Stick figures with arms raised, animals, sun discs, something that might be a snake or possibly a loaf of bread with legs. You squint. Is that supposed to be the god Thoth? No, one says. It's me. He points to the figure. See, I'm holding a scribe's brush. You raise an eyebrow. You can't even write yet. I will, he says with full confidence. I'm going to the temple school next season. You nod. Well, make sure you give yourself ears next time. The boys laugh and go back to their art, unaware that in a few centuries, someone might find their rough carvings and wonder what sort of sacred turmoil ruled here. You return to the grain pile, shoulders already sore, hands covered in dust and barley husk. But you smile. This is Egypt. Even the work has a song. Your arms are beginning to feel like papyrus reeds soaked too long in the Nile. Flexible, rough, and barely useful. The midday sun is a furnace overhead, and there's a thin line of sweat tracing your spine like a slow-crawling snake. But you keep at it because everyone does. There's an unspoken rule here. If your hands aren't busy, your ears better be. So, between hauling, you listen. One of the potters nearby is debating with her apprentice about clay texture. No, no, you pat it, not slap it, she snaps. The apprentice slaps it. The pot collapses in protest. You wince. She throws a shard your way. Not in anger, just routine. Closer to the granary wall, a group of 3 women are shelling chickpeas and trading gossip like currency. You catch snippets between the thuds and scoops. Someone's husband tried to flirt with the priest's niece. Someone else's cousin was caught sneaking dates from the storage again. Apparently, a goose bit him. Served him right. It's not all trivial, though. They talk seriously about the river, too. The Nile flood hasn't arrived yet. It's supposed to rise any week. Everyone's monitoring the water level like it's a stubborn mule. You know what that means. If the flood fails, the fields suffer. If the fields suffer, your barley share shrinks. If that happens, well, you'll adjust to more lentils and fewer figs. So you work. All of you do. Not just for grain or praise, but for continuity, for survival, for your role in a system so ancient even your grandmother can't recall its start. Your task changes around midday. A runner from the nearby workshop comes panting into the courtyard, seeking strong backs and weak excuses. You fit. Before long, you and two others are trudging toward the stonemason's yard, where blocks of limestone wait like silent judges in the sun. Your job? Drag one of those blocks to the carving station. Doesn't matter how. Just do it. You eye the block. It's roughly the size of a hippo, without the attitude. Someone hands you a length of thick rope and a frayed cloth. You wrap the cloth around your hands, grip the rope, and lean. It doesn't budge. You lean harder. It mocks you silently. Then your partners join. Together, like oxen in a story. You strain. The block groans against the sand, scraping forward inch by inch. The dust rises in your faces. You cough. You curse. Someone somewhere is still singing that barley stacking song. After what feels like forever, or maybe 6 minutes, you get it to the station. You drop the rope and collapse into a squat, breath rasping like a deflated goat skin. Nearby, a carver is focused, exact. His chisel taps out a line of hieroglyphs with the care of a priest. You watch, captivated, as shapes emerge. An ankh, a falcon, a sun disk. You wonder if your own name will ever be etched like that. Probably not, but maybe someone else's will, and you'll know you helped move the stone it's on. That's something, isn't it? As you rest, someone passes a jar of date beer, flat, warm, and sweet. You drink it like it's Ra's nectar. Then you wipe your mouth on your sleeve and prepare to stand. Because in Egypt, the gods may dwell in temples, but you build them. The air shifts as you approach the market. Not cooler. No, it's still hot enough to cook fish on a sun-warmed wall, but denser, weighted with scents, sounds, and activity. It buzzes like a hive that's learned to shout. You step under the worn linen canopy, marking the bazaar's edge, and right away, your ears are hit by the symphony of Egypt at its most disordered. Sellers calling prices, kids weaving through legs with figs in sticky fists, merchants banging bronze pots to attract notice. Somewhere far off, a flute wails a folk melody that sounds oddly flat. Your first challenge is the smells. Sweet, sharp, sour, and charred. It envelops your head like a web. One area smells of hot honey cakes, golden, dripping, too costly for your means. Another assaults you with strong drying fish, the type that judges you even post-mortem. And nearby, someone is clearly overcooking onions, perhaps spitefully. You adjust your sash and dive in. The stalls are endless, overflowing into each other like eager kids. Woven baskets brim with lentils, chickpeas, and nuts. Heaps of garlic bulbs and shallots gleam like riches under their papery layers. One vendor waves a bunch of dried herbs in your face and yells, "For love, for luck, for less gas." You nod politely. You're unsure which you need most. You pass a spice seller with fingers tinted red and yellow from turmeric and crushed hibiscus. His table is a spectrum of powders and ground petals. He meets your gaze, reaches under the stall, and shows you something unusual. A dark paste in a palm leaf. "For your breath," he whispers with a smile. "Mint, honey, and ground lotus seed. Sure to stop talk about your mouth." You're almost complimented. Almost. In the next aisle, two men dispute the weight of a fish. One holds a scale, the other a knife. Neither seems fully committed to truth. The fish, for its part, looks accepting of the situation. Eventually, the seller adds a dried eel for good measure, and the buyer nods with the grave dignity of a king sealing a pact. You keep moving. A group of young girls pass you carrying baskets of pottery, some painted with flowers, others with rough human shapes that look drawn during an earthquake. One notices you looking and sticks out her tongue. Then you turn a corner and nearly bump into a holy cat. Okay, maybe not officially holy, but the cat is sitting right in the path's middle, wearing a tiny blue bead collar, its tail curled in a perfect loop, and it's not budging. Everyone walks around it. One man even bows. You bow too. Better safe than cursed. Next to the cat, a woman sells amulets. Hundreds. Tiny carved scarabs, ankhs, eyes of Horus, crocodiles, cobras, even frogs. She sees you eyeing one, a clay hippo painted blue. Protection in childbirth, she says. You raise an eyebrow. I'm not expecting, she shrugs. Yet. You move on fast. At the market's far end, you see what you came for. A trader with dried dates, wrapped figs, and wonder of wonders. A small pile of fresh green onions, the good kind, not wilted or chewed by rats. You approach cautiously. He eyes you. You eye him. He names a price. You wince. That's half my grain share. He folds his arms. These were picked under the full moon. You raise an eyebrow. And will that make them taste better? No, he admits, but it makes them luckier. You sigh and bargain. The haggling starts subtly. A small frown, a headshake, a low counteroffer said, like you're helping him. The vendor responds with a dramatic gasp, clutching his chest like you've insulted his whole family tree. This is the routine. You squint and cross your arms. He pouts and taps the onion basket's edge like it holds holy artifacts. You make a show of turning to leave. He groans, mutters about feeding 5 kids and a blind grandmother. You pause. He offers a lower price, still high. You tilt your head. Throw in a dried fig. He hesitates. You lift one brow slightly. The universal sign for don't waste my time. Finally, he grumbles and tosses a fig into the bag, like handing over gold. Deal. You give him a few barley tokens, small discs marked with your household symbol. Good as money here, and tuck the onions into your satchel. They'll bruise by home, but your mother will know you got them cheaper than last week. A victory. Just as you're turning to go, someone bumps you hard from the side. You stumble, catch yourself on a cartwheel, and spin around, ready to reprimand. But it's just a young boy, about 8, darting through the crowd with wide eyes and empty hands. His linen is torn, no satchel, no tokens, just hunger. He doesn't look back. You glance at the fig in your hand, the extra from your bargaining win. It's small, sticky, probably overripe. You hesitate, then turn and jog after him, weaving through legs, baskets, and a very confused goat. You catch him crouched behind a basket stall, eyes fixed on a crate of cracked pomegranates. You crouch and hold out the fig. He stares at it, then at you, uncertain. It's not poison, you whisper, unless you're allergic to figs. Still staring, he grabs it and vanishes. Not a word, not even a nod. You stand and brush off. The basket vendor watched the whole thing with a raised eyebrow. Soft, he says. You shrug. Someone fed me once. He grunts, says no more. The market is thinning now. The sun is fiercer than before, burning the back of your neck like a warning. You slip into a shaded niche near a sandal maker's stool, watching as a man relaces a pair with dyed leather straps. His tools are arranged neatly: bone awl, smooth stone polisher, a jar of fish glue that smells as pleasant as expected. Need a pair? He asks without looking up. Only if you're giving them away. He chuckles. Then you'll be barefoot forever. You watch him work briefly, his hands quick, confident. The sandals form with quiet assurance. No magic, just skill. Down the row, a man selling old scrolls calls out, holding one high. Cures insomnia, protects from crocodiles, and boosts marital luck. You call back, only one of those is my issue. A few laugh. A breeze stirs the canopy, sending motes of dust swirling in golden spirals. You tilt your head back and let it hit your face. For a moment, the heat eases, just a breath. You take one last look at the stalls, the sellers, the chaos. You didn't come for much, but you leave with more than food. The market gives you noise, scent, faces, life, and maybe, just maybe, a bit of grace. You step back into the sunlight. The day isn't over, but the load on your shoulder feels lighter somehow, even if your satchel doesn't. You're sweating again. The market heat clings to you like resin, and now the path ahead shimmers with midday haze. Even the flies seem sluggish, circling lazily, as if too weary for their usual pestering. You veer off the main road and follow a narrow trail behind the greenery. It winds between two half-ruined mud brick walls and leads you to a patch of dry shade where workers sometimes steal a moment of rest. A large tamarisk tree stands nearby, its branches spread like a gossiping ant trying to block the sun. This is the unofficial pause spot, the one you're not supposed to use, but everyone does. There's already a handful of people sprawled in the shade like stranded fish, shoeless, shirtless, thankful. You nod and they nod back. Nobody talks at first. This is sacred. The midday quiet, the kind where even a whisper feels like sacrilege. You lower yourself onto a worn flat stone. It's still warm, but mercifully not scorching. You let your satchel drop beside you with a tired thud. A few green onions peek out. Success. From across the shaded patch, someone lifts a jug and shakes it gently toward you. An offer. You accept. The beer is lukewarm, gritty, and tastes like diluted bread, but it could be divine right now. You drink deeply, then let out a sigh loud enough to draw a few weary chuckles. Nearby, a young man breaks a loaf in half and passes a chunk to the girl beside him. She takes it silently, then sticks her tongue out at him in thanks. Another pair are sharing jokes about a local priest who, they say, snores loud enough to rouse embalmed mummies. You pull out your own bread. It's slightly squished, but intact. You tear off a piece, wrap it around one of the precious green onions, and take a bite. Crunch, bite, burn. You forgot how sharp fresh onions are when just pulled from the ground. Your eyes water right away. Someone notices and laughs. Tears of the Nile, they call. You wave them off, chewing through the sting bravely. It's worth it. The flavor is genuine, raw, strong. A reminder that you're alive and standing in a land that doesn't always make it simple. Beside you, someone starts singing. Not a work chant this time. Something gentler, older. A lullaby, perhaps, or a journey song. The words flow out like dust from an old tapestry. May your feet not blister on the sand. May your jug be full when you reach the land. A few others hum along. The tune isn't flawless, but it threads through the shade like a wind. You lean back against the wall and let your head rest just for a second. Your fingers are crusted with flour dust. Your knees ache. Your back feels like it was cursed by a minor god of posture. But for the first time since dawn, you're not moving. And in Egypt, stillness is a form of riches. You tilt your head to the side and spot a small lizard basking on a stone, watching the group like a tiny critical overseer. You offer it a breadcrumb. It ignores you. The world softens. Someone stretches, someone burps, someone starts snoring softly. It's peaceful in the way only stolen moments can be. A break, not just from work, but from expectations, stance, and show. And that's when the scribe appears. You don't need to look. You hear the sandals, deliberate, precise, dust-free. The scribe's entrance is like a drop of ink in clear water, instantly noticed, slow to spread, impossible to overlook. You don't stare at him directly, of course. That would be bold. Instead, everyone shifts slightly, sits up, wipes palms on tunics. The humming fades. The jokes stop mid-breath. Even the lizard scurries away, unimpressed by administration. The scribe pauses just inside the shade. He wears a crisp linen robe, so white it might have been pressed by Ra himself, and he holds his writing palette under one arm. A neat row of reed pens and two small paint wells, one black, one red. You wonder if he ever mixes them. You kind of hope so. He doesn't speak at first, just scans the group like a shepherd counting sheep. Tired, dusty, unworthy sheep. Finally, his gaze lands on a pot-bellied man reclining with eyes half closed. "You are due at the canal trench by midday," the scribe says, voice flat and unimpressed. The pot-bellied man opens one eye, blinks slowly, and replies, "I was early yesterday." A few stifled snorts ripple through the shade. Even you smile a little. The scribe says nothing, just raises his stylus, makes a note on a strip of papyrus, and walks away. Once he's gone, the air relaxes again, like someone released it from a tight container. You shift back into your spot, now a bit more upright, but no less tired. Someone mutters, "May Thoth gift him a papyrus rash," and you nearly choke on your onion. Another few minutes pass. A cloud drifts lazily over the sun, giving the world a brief gray softness. You finish your bread, brush crumbs from your lap, and watch an ant carry a grain across a stone crack like it's transporting treasure. You're starting to doze when a sharp whistle cuts the quiet. One of the granary foremen, waving his arms like a nesting ibis, shouting about new arrivals and barley shifts. Of course, the break ends. You groan, stretching your legs as you stand. Your back cracks in 3 places. Someone else groans louder just to outdo you. But before heading off, you feel a tug on your sash. It's a girl, about 10, with dusty cheeks and bright eyes. She holds out a wrinkled date in her hand. You frown. "What's this for?" "You gave my brother the fig," she says simply. You blink. She pushes the date into your palm and runs off before you can protest. You look at the sticky gift. You'd bet a week's ration she stole it. But that's not the point. You pop it in your mouth, and it's surprisingly sweet. Almost floral, like sunlight poured into fruit. The kind of moment that doesn't fill your stomach, but nourishes something deeper. You dust your knees and rejoin the stream of people heading back to the granary. Some to the canal, others to the temple. Some, like you, just hoping no one notices your slow pace. But the path ahead is the same for all. Because in this land of gods and dust, everyone works, everyone rests, and everyone eventually rises again. You're used to seeing kids running through the streets with sticks, chasing made-up monsters or each other. But when you see this group of children, you stop. They're not playing. They're sitting cross-legged in a shaded corner of the temple courtyard, each bent over a slab of worn limestone, stylus in hand, brows furrowed like tiny officials. This is the scribe school. It's not a school like your modern mind might picture. No benches, no bright murals of letters and farm animals. There's dust. There's repetition. There's a very thin, very strict man with a reed switch in his hand who believes discipline is a sacred craft and that mercy is best saved for after you've copied life, prosperity, health 500 times. You edge a little closer, not enough to disrupt them. No one disrupts the scribes, but enough to observe. One boy is carefully scratching a hieroglyph that vaguely looks like a duck. You're about to nod approvingly when you realize it's meant to be a seated god. Maybe not his path. A girl next to him has already filled half her tablet with perfect little reed and basket symbols, the kind that make temple walls shine with meaning. She's quick but precise. You like her. The teacher paces behind them like a watchful ibis. He taps one boy's shoulder with the stylus. Your line looks like a worm. Then he taps another. Do not slouch. This is slouching. Then a third. Are you bleeding on the page? The third boy holds up a thumb with a splinter and shrugs. The teacher sighs and mutters something about future grave errors. It's easy to forget in the workday heat that these kids are the mechanisms driving the future. Writing isn't just a skill, it's authority. Only scribes can speak for the state. Only they can address the gods. When you write in Egypt, it doesn't fade. It becomes eternal. Of course, that doesn't make learning easier. You recall tales of scribal apprentices whose hands cramped so badly they couldn't lift a bowl, of pupils made to memorize entire declarations before touching ink. And if their ink pot spilled, the penalty involved cleaning every grain of sand within 10 cubits. And yet here they are, sweating, scribbling, quietly mouthing their symbols, hoping for the master's nod. You hear one boy muttering, "House, house, God, fish." No, house. House, mouth, fish. He groans, erases it, and starts over. You step back, giving them room. Near the courtyard's edge, an older student sits alone. He's writing in ink, not just scratching into stone, a sign he's advanced, trusted. His brush strokes are clean and fluid. He dips his stylus into a red pot, writes a line, then blows gently to dry. You catch a glimpse of the phrase, "The sun watches the lazy. The scribe watches the world." Not bad. You wonder if he created it, or if it's copied from a dusty roll of proverbs from ancient times. Either way, it lingers with you. You glance back one last time at the group of tiny bent backs, fingers darkened with ink, minds filled with symbols. Some will grow to write tax records, royal orders, temple scrolls. Some will tally barley for decades. Others might pen prayers that outlast their bones. And some, well, some will have their duck gods etched into a tomb wall centuries later. And scholars will whisper, "What is that?" You stroll further around the temple courtyard, still near the scribe school's edge. The midday heat has eased slightly, and a breeze flutters a scroll's edge. It flips and lands in an ink puddle. The boy who owns it makes a sound between a groan and a prayer. The instructor just says, "Good. Now you'll remember not to let the wind write for you." You smirk and keep walking. Beyond the children's row, another area is set aside. neatly roped off with storage boxes, tools, and stacks of writing boards. This is where the older scribes labor, the true professionals. They sit with straight backs and tired eyes under a partial roof of woven reeds. And they look weary, not from physical work, like stone haulers, but from knowing too much. One copies a long scroll onto fresh papyrus. You catch bits, an inventory of temple items, a list of oxen, a note on missing cloth bolts. Boring, sure, but each word is written with priestly care. Because in Egypt, writing shapes reality. Once on papyrus, it exists. Near him, another scribe records dreams. Yes, dreams. A small table holds dozens of slips, some with crocodile hieroglyphs, others with blood symbols, flying birds. The scribe looks at each, checks a worn reference scroll, and notes interpretations in red ink. You lean in a bit and catch part of one. Dream of falling fish. Beware jealous neighbor. Another. Dream of a hippo in a basket. Safe childbirth. And your favorite, dream of eating a lotus while flying. News from afar, but not from someone you like. You'd laugh. Except you had a fish dream once. And your neighbor has been oddly interested in your onions lately. A few meters away, a third scribe handles something more intense. A man stands before his table, clutching a broken pottery piece, waving it like a sacred relic. "She took my beer jar," the man declares, nostrils flared, one sandal missing. The scribe, without looking up, says, "Do you have a witness?" "I have 3. "Do you have the jar?" "She smashed it." The scribe sighs and writes slowly. You can tell he's heard worse. He records the complaint with flawless script, then stamps it with an official mark, a seal shaped like a sitting baboon. You step away, trying not to grin too obviously. That baboon seal is notorious. It's the scribe's polite way of saying your issue is noted, filed, and possibly forgotten. But under the humor, you feel something else. Reverence, perhaps, or humility. Because here, among ink-stained scrolls and murmured complaints, you sense the weight of words. These people don't construct temples or harvest wheat. They don't bake bread or brew beer. They create meaning. They decide what occurred, who said what, when, why. They control memory. You look at your own hands, calloused, dusted with flour, free of ink. You've never written a decree, never transcribed a dream, never trained to hold a stylus like a priest holds incense. But you recall what the elder student wrote. The sun watches the lazy, the scribe watches the world. You may not be a scribe, but today, for a few minutes, you watch them. And that means something too. You turn off the main road, following a side path lined with blooming reeds and half-fallen walls that smell faintly of beer, clay, and something else. Is that pickled fish? Probably. You're heading not to a temple or market or granary, but to a different core of Egyptian life, one often ignored, yet beating with its own strength. The women's quarters. You pause for a second at the threshold. It's not forbidden ground. Not really, but it's private. These mud brick courtyards behind high walls have their own patterns, a whole separate world, one that outsiders overlook and undervalue. But today, you've been welcomed. You duck through a low arch and emerge into a sun-dappled square filled with noise. Laughter, scolding, babies fussing, pots clanging, someone cursing mildly at dough that won't rise. It's like entering the backstage of a huge production, the buzz of everything that keeps the rest of the world running. A girl your age waves you over. You've known her since you were both knee-high and soot-covered. Today, she's grinding barley at a stone basin, hands white with flour, scarf tucked back to keep hair from the meal. Late again, she says without glancing up. I brought onions, you reply. Then you're forgiven. She points to a bowl, and you kneel beside her. Together, you fall into a rhythm. One of those timeless, almost innate routines. Grind, scoop, sift, repeat. It's strangely soothing, the way the rough stone sings against the grain. The scent earthy and warm. All around, women work with accuracy and command. One tends a bubbling pot over fire, stewed lentils with coriander by the aroma. Another braids garlic into tight loops for storage. A third bends over linen, rubbing it with crushed lotus petals to scent for festival wear. You watch a mother teaching her daughter to seal an oil jar with beeswax. The girl's hands are awkward, eyes wide with focus. The wax drips down the side. The mother nods. Good mistakes mean learning. It hits you how much wisdom resides in this courtyard. Not the formal kind, the ink and reeds and recitations, but the type that builds homes, ensures meals, heals fevers, and calms gods. If the world collapsed tomorrow, these women would stitch it back with thread, vinegar, and instinct. And they're not just homemakers. You glance across the yard to a woman crouched over clay jugs, tapping each lightly and sniffing the opening. She's brewing beer skillfully with a keen eye and a clay figurine of Hathor placed beside for luck. The beer here isn't the weak, watery stuff given in fields. This is proper brew, strong, rich, a bit sweet, made in small amounts for family or trade. She catches you watching and smirks. Want a taste? You nod too eagerly. She hands a scoop from a halved gourd. The beer is warm, thick, smelling of date syrup and barley. It glides over your tongue like festival fare, not workday. You nod approval exaggeratedly. She laughs. You're hired. Then comes the clatter of beads. You turn to see an older woman opening a reed box filled with painted jewelry, bracelets, ear studs, tiny ceramic hippos, and frog-shaped amulets. A few children gather, whispering excitedly. The woman selects a scarab bead and gives it to a girl. For courage, she says. Put it in your pocket when your brother teases. The girl nods seriously and tucks it away. And just like that, you realize this courtyard isn't an escape from the outside. It's its center. You remain seated on the warm clay floor, legs extended, the grindstone between your knees, while the sun paints gold on the courtyard walls. The pace here isn't hurried, but never idle. It's consistent, supporting, like a heart's slow beat, keeping everything alive. Behind you, two women debate softly, not angrily, but with the measured flow of people who've shared too many tasks and too little space. She overcooked the bread again. It's called crust. It's called jaw pain. They both laugh and, without pausing, start shaping the next dough batch with synced hands. Meanwhile, someone tends the corner shrine. It's not fancy, just a raised shelf with a Tauret figure, goddess of fertility and protection, carved from river stone and smoothed by decades of devotion. Dried flowers at her feet, a jar of scented oil beside a clay dish of salt. The woman caring for it is meticulous. She wipes the figure with fresh linen, murmuring low, rhythmic words. You catch fragments, blessings for children, protection for the flood, prayer the grain won't mold this season. No one stops work for the ritual, but no one talks over it. The moment is understood, respected. You scan the faces. Your neighbor's daughter smoothing flax fibers skillfully. Your cousin tying dried herb bundles for the doorway. Your aunt teaching a toddler to use a clay pot without disaster. And for a moment, you wonder how outsiders believe Egyptian women lack power. Because you see it now, not in temples or scrolls, but here in this space of sweat, wisdom, and laughter. This is gravity's core. Outside, someone calls for help lifting a water jug. One woman sighs, brushes flour from her knees, and shouts, "Send him here, we'll lift and refill it." More laughter, then talk shifts to something serious, the upcoming Bastet Festival. One woman claps and announces she's preparing a fresh wig. Another insists her cat will wear painted beads this year, like a queen. Someone says she's brewing new honey beer, and her husband better not touch it early, or he'll drink Nile water for the next moon cycle. You ask what they're wearing, and suddenly it's a strategy meeting. Linen colors, jewelry pairings, who's bringing dried fish, who's supplying reed mats. Someone claims they're composing a new song for the dance circle. You shake your head, amused. That's much planning for one night. A nearby grandmother looks up sharply. One night? Bastet doesn't visit for just one night, child. She lingers. She's not kidding. As the sun starts its slow descent west, some women rise to prepare evening meals. Grains to soak, lentils to simmer, garlic to crush. You rise too. Almost time to leave. But before, the girl you ground barley with slips something into your satchel. You look down, a small bundle of dried blue lotus flowers tied with thread. For your bath, she says, not meeting your eyes, or to chew if your day drags. You nod thanks. You walk out the archway to the main path, carrying flour, herb, and faint perfume scents. The world outside is loud again, dusty and vast, but part of you remains in that courtyard, under the sun, with flour on hands and laughter in ears. You smile. That's the Egypt no scroll captures. You feel the shift before reaching the walls. The air thickens, not with heat, though it's stifling, but with something ancient, heavier, a quiet that vibrates in your chest. You follow the narrow path by a shaded canal, past lotus ponds, where dragonflies skim lazily until the temple complex rises ahead. Massive, sun-bleached, humming with hidden energy. You've never grown used to temples feel. They don't shout like markets or buzz like workshops. They listen. Their calm is loud. And today, you're accompanying a priest. You enter via a side passage, not for visitors or grand rites. A cool stone corridor opens to a courtyard where purification pools shimmer silently. Beside them stands Menemhotep, a mid-level priest. You've seen him before, in robes with sharp stares, but today he's calm. Maybe it's the lavender oil on his palms, or the soothing routine of cleansing before entering sacred spaces. He glances at you. Don't touch anything. You nod, already sweating under the weight. The purification starts. Not for you, for him. First hands and feet, then face. Then, breathing deep, he pours water over his head. When he stands, droplets stream down his shaved scalp, sparkling like tiny gifts. "This is renewal water," he mutters, more to himself. The body must forget the street before nearing the gods. Then, without ceremony, he turns and enters the temple. You follow. Inside, it's dim, not dark, but air thick with incense, light filtering in thin golden rays from high slits. The scent is intense. Kaifi smoke curling through halls, heavy with myrrh, cinnamon, wine, and a forgotten ingredient everyone agrees smells holy. You walk quietly, but your sandals slap too loudly on polished stone. The floors are smoothed by centuries of feet, prayers, secrets. Menemhotep leads past carved columns painted with gods granting life to kings. Colors reds, deep blues, sun-baked golds, still vibrant though faded. You see Hathor with cow ears, Thoth with ibis beak, Anubis stoic over someone having a bad day. You pass a room where young novices scrub floors with palm fibers. One, a boy about 10, glares at a beetle near the altar. He leans to crush it. A second later, the beetle flies off. Wise, murmurs Menemhotep, killing a scarab in the temple. He doesn't finish, just raises an eyebrow. You nod. Wise beetle. Eventually, you reach the inner sanctum, holiest space where only purest priests enter. You stop at the threshold as told. Menemhotep vanishes inside briefly, leaving you staring at golden doors carved with eyes, ankhs, symbols no one mistranslates. You hear faint whispers, a censer clang, then silence. When he returns, his eyes look glassy, dazed. He doesn't speak a while, just walks slowly, murmuring a hymn. Something about Ra sailing the sky and holding darkness at bay through order, breath, light. You trail, quieter. And for a moment, you wonder, are the gods really there? Or in the ritual, scent, hush? Because whatever resides in that sanctum, real or not, it feels like something watching back. You exit the inner halls with the priest, blinking as sunlight hits like a linen-wrapped slap. It's brighter outside, too bright after the sanctum's hush and shadows. You feel like a beetle scurrying from dark to light, unsure if it's safer or more exposed. Menemhotep says nothing as he walks ahead, and you don't press. He's elsewhere now. You've heard priests purify multiple times daily, bathing, shaving, avoiding foods, sleeping alone to maintain holiness for service. And even then, they speak only to God's statues, not gods. That's commitment or madness. Or perhaps those aren't distinct in Egypt. You follow to the offering hall. Energy differs here, less holy, more practical. The floor buzzes with action. Low stone tables hold food trays. Fresh bread, garlic, onions, dates, cooked fowl, dried fish, small beer cups arranged carefully. You see a woman in temple linen adjusting a pomegranate to face Hathor's painted figure just right. Like a lining fruit could fend off chaos. It probably can. In this world, order isn't an idea. It's armor. Menemhotep raises a hand and motion stops. With steady voice, he starts the ritual. You've heard prayers. Everyone has. But these are exact, not fervent, not improvised, chanted like measures. Bread to satisfy, beer to purify, fowl to elevate, onion to awaken. Each word lands like a chisel tap. You realize this isn't begging, it's upkeep, like feeding fire, oiling universe joints. The priest places bread before Osiris's statue. He doesn't look hopeful, he looks accountable, like if he doesn't do this right, something awful might escape. You sneak a glance at the statue. It doesn't move, but it doesn't stay still either. As the ceremony goes, an acolyte lights incense. Smoke rises slow, sinuous, wrapping the statue's face in a way that tightens your skin. Eyes seem deeper, mouth softer. You blink. It's stone again. You tell yourself, light trick. Ritual done. Menemhotep turns without flair. Offerings redistribute soon, some to priests, some to poor, some oddly to cats. You follow to the side where used vessels are rinsed, sorted by servants. One nudges you, grins. He didn't yell. You passed. You nod, unsure what. Before leaving, you wander painted hallways once more. You pause under a mural of Anubis, weighing a heart against a feather. You've seen it. Everyone has. But now it's personal, heavy. If the feather tips slightly, the soul is eaten by Amit, the crocodile lion hippo beast living to punish imbalance. You wonder the feeling of knowing your weight then, if choices sufficed, or if gods care about intentions. Outside, a temple cat brushes your leg and walks on, confirming you're anchored here. For now, you step into light. Incense clings to clothes, ritual words echo. Though sandals tread dust as always, steps feel quieter, like gods might watch, or worse, listen. The smell of incense sticks to your clothes. The ritual words still ring in your ears. And though your sandals tread the dust like always, there's something about your steps that feels quieter now, like the gods might still be watching, or worse, listening. The road from the temple winds past tall date palms and long flat fields extending toward the horizon like a green vow amid so much sun. Your stomach rumbles again, but this time not from hunger. It's from something denser, like ore sitting wrong in your belly. That temple quiet. It lingers. But now the quiet is replaced by the sharp clink, clink, clink of metal on stone. You follow the sound, and suddenly you're amid noise again. Not market chaos or scribe courtyard hum, but the deep, repeating beat of construction. You've wandered into a building site, not for a house or canal, but something larger, something eternal. A tomb, or perhaps a temple addition. Judging by the white limestone blocks towering beside the path, maybe part of a monument to someone with enough wealth or influence to capture the gods' notice. The workers are everywhere, shirtless, dust-covered, muscled, and sun-darkened. They move like ants over the scaffolded wall face. Ramps slope up one side, slick with sand and sweat, lined with logs as rollers for stones. It's brutal, beautiful. You blink as four men, chanting together, pull a slab your sleeping mat size up the ramp, straining against ropes too thin for the job. Behind, a man with a long stick keeps time. Not hitting, just tapping stone. Clack, clack, clack. It's mesmerizing. Someone calls you. A boy your age, smeared with ochre, balancing a water pot on his shoulder. Thirsty? He asks. You nod, and he hands the pot. The water is warm but clean. Tastes like dust and iron. You return it. Here to work? He asks. No, you reply. Just watching. He grins. Then stay out of the way, or you'll end up in the foundation. You laugh nervously. Nearby, a master carver hunches over a half-done stone panel, using bronze chisel and rounded mallet to slowly animate the gods. You see outlines of wings, ankhs, a falcon's eye emerging. The stone flakes in delicate curls falling like snow around his knees. You step closer, intrigued. The lines aren't random. They're a story, a scene-shaped detail by detail. A noble offering to Osiris with hieroglyphs dancing like flames above. A blank space in the lower left awaits the man's name. Won't carve it till he pays full, the carver mutters without looking. Or dies, whichever first. Fair enough. A little further, someone presses tiny painted tiles into plaster. Greens, blues, yellows, a mosaic border that'll outlive all here. The worker hums softly, squinting in sun. Another man crouches nearby, adding mortar to a block side, muttering low, fast. You lean and realize he's whispering his name into the crack. You've heard this. Workers sometimes hide names between slabs, scribbled in red, scratched with nail, or whispered into wet plaster. Not for fame, just to be part of something enduring. You walk the unfinished wall base and pause by a small offering table, roughly carved, half dust covered. On it, a hard bread loaf, dried lotus, beer sip in a bowl. Not for workers, for stone gods, or dead, or wall itself. Hard to tell where one ends, other begins. You sit on a half-shaped limestone block, careful not to smudge carvings. It's warm, soaked with sun and history. Around, work continues in hall, chisel, smooth, shout, hall, choreography. Men grunt, sing, argue, laugh like ordinary day. And maybe it is, but doesn't feel ordinary because these aren't walls. They're promises, stories in stone, buildings for eternity. A nearby team wrestles a huge wood beam, raising for scaffolding with ropes, pulleys, human will. Structure creaks, resists like a bull. But slowly, inch by inch, it rises, and when locked, collective cheer. You join without thinking. Someone slaps your back. "Stick around," he says, wiping brow. "You'll see odd before day ends." You raise eyebrow? "Odder than this?" He grins. "Wait for the painter." And on cue, she appears. Woman in faded red headscarf, fingers stained cobalt and ochre. Carries pigment tray, pots in perfect circle like offerings. Eyes sharp, walks like used to forbidden places. Kneels by fresh panel, opens pots. Lapis blue, malachite green, iron oxide red, charcoal black, pale shimmery smelling crushed shells. You watch reed brush dip blue, trace falcon wing curve. Movement precise, fluid, fast. In one breath, creature born from stone, hand steady, eyes unblinking. "How paint so steady?" someone asks. "Because I want remembrance." She replies without stop, then stops. Dips thumb gold powder, presses falcon chest center. Heart of Ra, murmurs, for protection. Men's silent moment. Then hammering resumes. Later, sun lower, shadows stretch, cooling stones, deepening carved gods. You rise from seat, walk construction yard edge, broken fragments piled rough heaps, discarded bits not making cut, spot small piece like foot, another open hand. Maybe unfinished statue parts, damaged shaping. Won't use now, but even pile, seem belong. Crouch, hand over cracked surface discarded block. Find faint mark, name barely scratched, almost erased time sand. Can't read, but there. Whisper in stone. Wonder if day-owned names sit dust layers like this? Forgotten maybe, but etched deep some part holds. As walk village, glance half-finished monument. Scaffold glows orange late light. Wall shadow stretches long sand, arm toward forever. Won't see finished, but someone will, and in Egypt enough. Walk home starts groan. Legs ache. Feet dust-coated. Thin red-line shoulder satchel strap dug. Arms overcooked barley, wobbly, heavy, resentful. But move. One sandal slap time, back palm fronds rustle, cook fires smoke. Light changed. Not midday glare, not dusk hush. Golden hour, glow makes everything painted. Even cracked mud walls shimmer gold. Children chasing barefoot seem mural figures alive. Stop, let cart pass. Two oxen pull slow, heads low, eyes half-lidded sleepy old men. Driver nods, Mutters jackals stealing fish. You nod. Of course. Village edge. Pass woman squatting water jar. Cooling hands. Hair coiled. Linen wrap damp washing. Hums softly, tuneless. Flowing matches, sky color. Almost home someone tugs elbow. Child, 6 maybe. Grubby, barefoot. Determined. Want see something? Ask. You blink. What kind? Don't answer. Grab hand pull narrow alley 2 courtyards. Follow, half curiosity, half child drag resist. Alley opens small dusty square, half shaded leaning fig tree. Beneath, storyteller performing. Not grand, no royal scribe temple bard. Old man voice, gravel belly, well-fed hippo. Seated upside basket, surrounded half-circle children adults pretending pass. Settle step edge listen. Then old man says, eyes wide. Crocodile looked pharaoh eye, said, that's my river. Gasps, laughter. You grin, ridiculous, perfect. Someone offers dried fig shared cloth. Take without asking who, doesn't matter. Everyone here. Story winds temples, curses, dancing monkey, sneeze cracked pyramid. Children raptures. One leans far, falls storyteller lap. Theatrical oof applause. Tale ends. Old man holds date pit solemn. Moral never ignore dream smells onions. Everyone nods sense. Group scatters slowly. Children peel birds puddle. Adults stretch, chuckle, return pots, mats, jars. Remain moment. Watch storyteller pack scraps, broken amulets. Props, doubt. Walks past, winks. Walking heavy today. You nod. Long day. Pats shoulder. Good. No earned. Gone. Turn home. Footsteps slower. Not exhaustion. Village blooming evening life. Sounds change. Pace softens. Sun lowers western palm line. Long shadows fingers road. You? Almost back. Egypt not done yet. Smell warmth courtyard sea. Simmering lentils, sweet coriander cling walls. Smoke fire pit curls lazy. Whispers roasted garlic. Singed onion. Someone's bad singing accident. Judged bandaged foot corner. Step inside, feel mixed fatigue safety. Family chaos full. Children laughing loud. Someone arguing water, turn tomorrow. Ant chasing chicken determination suggests more dinner, vengeance. Drop satchel doorway. Lands thump spills. Few onions, leftover bread crust, dried lotus bundle tied string. Someone scoops curious hum. Fancy? Sister teases. Trying catch priest eye. Only sandals steady income, shoot back. Laughter erupts. Tired kind, earned, honest, edged relief, sun almost down. Ease woven mat back wall, soft sigh. Jug water nearby, lukewarm, heavenly. Drink outran lion. Mother appears bowl food. Lentils, garlic, single dried fish strip, perched crown. Take reverently. Never seen fish royal. Look sunburned says, cool cloth neck. Nod. Saw man whisper name wall. Pauses, shrugs. If wall listens, polite answer. Household settles evening routines. Cousin fixes sandal strap twine. Chewing end makes stronger. Someone fans Cole's life barley porridge pot. Above, sky dimming. Not black. Deep, rich blue Egypt sun. Not left stars breathe. Take bite meal. Lentils spicy tonight. Fish salty, remind market barrels. Good. Real. Savor slowly, chew bite sentence end. Neighbor pokes head low wall. Here, asks. Priest dropped offering bowl temple today. Say cracked floor. Full? Someone calls. Full pride, replies. Everyone laughs. Stories, little, fleeting, ridiculous, float embers, sparking fading. Some true, half true, all belong. Last sun slips palm trees, stretch legs, belly full, hands dusty, throat dry, mind humming. Today, ordinary, Egypt ordinary sacred. Close eyes second, listen cicadas buzz. Soft clay pots clatter. Someone whispering bedtime prayer, half sleeping child. Home sounds. Heart, sore sunburned, whispers. Still here. Evening doesn't drop Egypt. Settles silk shoulders. Sky dims slow, deliberate. Long shadows village courtyard. Color drains walls. Pottery, linen hanging limp lines. Everything softens, cools, pauses. But think day quiet doesn't. Village gets loud. Starts single beat. Someone striking clay pot stick half rhythmic thump. Then another joins tapping reed basket. Before long, half dozen hands slapping, drumming, flicking nearby objects. Music, sheer will. Children shriek, not panic. Drama heard rooftops. Boy bursts courtyard palm frond crown, declares pharaoh geese. Brother challenges jewel-dried leeks. Battle swift, one-sided. Hear laughter, deep, belly-shaking next courtyard. Someone told tax collector missing goat again. Classic. Down path, group gathered story hour. Not temple tales, sacred, delightfully stupid kind. Woman, deep voice, impeccable timing, recounting saga man, impress priest, stealing sacred ibis lap offering, sound effects, almost choke date beer, then flirting. Happens rainfall, scattered, impossible track. Glance. Compliment pointed casual. Boy offers girl honeycomb, says sweeter smile. Scoffs. Takes anyway. Young woman household walks past courtyard stack laundry head. Cousin nearly trips feet pretending not notice. All notice. Music drifts village edge. Someone playing double reed flute. Sound slightly off key, earnest. Kind makes dance elbows hips feet. Small group gathering tamarisk tree. No formal invite. Wander watch. Boy leaps circle first. Twisting, stomping, moving, chased rhythm-loving jackal. Others cheer, clapping time. Girl follows, spinning arms raised, hair trailing banner. Not impress anyone, does. Music speeds, clapping tightens, trading moves, challenging sharp steps, wilder swirls. Sand kicks. Someone nearly loses sandal. Everyone laughing hard breathe. Clap along, don't dance, not tonight. Rhythm pulls friendly, hand sleeve. Maybe next. Back courtyard. Uncle declared headstand despite evidence contrary. Crowd forming. Someone fetches mat case. Settle spot wall, grinning fool. Loud, chaotic. Exactly bones needed. When Egyptians finish working, sweating, praying, building, celebrate. Even beer warm, bread old. Tomorrow brings taxes, sunburn, holy cat's infestation. Tonight alive everyone knows. Sun nearly gone. Smear red gold palm trees. Village glowing lanterns. Firelight. Human mischief. Someone lit oil lamp. Hung wooden pole tiny moon. Shadows dance walls. Familiar faces. Strange stories taller. Still lounging wall, belly full, muscles aching best way. Here singing, playful, sharp, half-rhymed. Song teasing truth. Group girls singing call response. He brought 2 ducks. She wanted 10, so he brought figs light again. She took gifts changed mind. Now left goat wine. Recognized tune. Old grandmother's time always returns. 2 boys try out sing nonsense ballad donkey love fishmonger's wife. Doesn't sense, doesn't need. Kind stays you. Glance fire pit someone roasting garlic reed leaves. Ant breaks open smears soft cloves, bread broken pottery. Waves 1. Open mouth. Dew. Hot, pungent, delicious. Tastes everything good life. Hum appreciation. Smirks one prize. Then things slow. Noise shifts someone bone pick. Tonight neighbor. Tracks onions missing garden. Standing courtyard center. Limp green onion stalk evidence courtroom. Not saying took, says glaring cousin. But onion didn't dig walk away. Cousin looks offended. Maybe did. Maybe smarter looked. Someone coughs hands. Smells onions, though. Cousin glares. All smell onions. Fair point. Dispute spirals village comedy seen 1,000 times. Neighbors chime, contradict, switch sides mid-argument. Child offers draw missing onion memory. Someone swears saw goat suspicious. Eventually, uncle, rubbing back headstand incident, raises hands. Trial tomorrow dawn. Bring evidence. Everyone agrees, including goat. Tension breaks. Air laughter, soft chatter. Onion scandal moment, not tonight. Tonight, world warm close firelight. Children sleep first, 1-1, slumped laps, curled clay walls, faces smudged peaceful. Notice youngest cousin holding palm frond sword, dreaming Pharaoh's lizard's bread doesn't burn. Adults drift too. Someone humming. Mother throws extra cloth shoulders without saying. Smells smoke perfume. You sit quietly watching embers, listening night breathe. Quiet moments, shouting, dancing, pretending not care. This. Part day holds together. Stillness noise, heartbeat jokes, knowledge belong right here. Now, Middle Egypt. And another perfect, exhausting, ordinary day. Stars arrive, old friends. 1-1, no hurry, no shout. Glowing softly rooftops, blinking palms, watching village nighttime skin. Stretch arms, head lie mat, gaze tilted blackening sky. Dust day clings skin, don't mind. Earned. Badge. Somewhere nearby, baby whimpers hushed. Clay jug tips. Dog barks nothing particular gives halfway. World quieter, never silent. Then here. Footsteps. Not hurried, heavy, purposeful. Sit up. Across courtyard, man approaches, trailed 2 others. Older, gray temples, barefoot, robe-wrapped, rewrapped soft armor. Carries reed staff, not need. Tells world doesn't. No. Everyone. Local judge. Here. Not grand courtroom authority, polished stone halls. Neighbor, father, man, spent life listening arguments, fences, fish traps, missing sandals. Tonight, hear something small, enormous. Settles low, stool courtyard center. People gather quietly, naturally, not summoned. Drawn moths, flickering torch. Woman steps first, holding clay pot cracked rim, places gently. This, says, whole left wall, morning. Murmur. One boy's crowd straightens back sharply. Judge looks pot, woman, boy. No words yet. Boy clears throat. Whole, but goat. There, goat again. Judge raises eyebrow. Same goat accused onion theft. Crowd chuckles softly. Boy wilts begins courtyard trial. Not life-death, pottery pride, neighbors nonsense. Yet matters. Little conflicts settled stars shape tomorrow feel. Judge listens not words tone, breath, pauses, nods, frowns, asks questions like, pot shadow sun? Anyone see goat wall intent? Last question absurd. All understand means. Eventually, verdict. Pot broken. Goat. Troublesome, Innocent, malicious intent. Boy replace vessel equal size. Woman accept without complaint. But, judge adds, either brings up tomorrow. Assign both dung-hauling week. Agreements murmured. Peace now. You sit back marveling not ruling ritual. Gentle, ridiculous theater may out order. Balance, truth. Idea even world sandstorms hippo gods. Fairness carved lantern light common sense. Judge stands, prepare leave. But turns gathering one last time. Anyone else? Silence. Child raises hand. Yes. Asks. Points. Brother said raw flaming bird not God. Gasps. Brother shrinks shadows. Judge sighs, sits back. Judge leans forward, resting hands knees. Lantern flickers face, casting deep shadows, cheekbones turning expression mythic. Half stern God, half tired grandfather. Fixes gaze boy. Said raw bird? Boy swallows, eyes wide. Said, maybe really big bird. Murmurs ripple courtyard breeze. Judge doesn't speak moment. Instead, points upward sky thick stars. Milky Way arcs overhead. What people call celestial Nile. River stars gods sail night. Tell, says gently. See sun, boy shakes head. No, gone. Yet, judge continues. Come back tomorrow? Boy nods. Why? Pause. Boy frowns, thinking hard. Ra sails boat underworld, fights, monsters wins. Judge nods. Why call God? Not shines, returns. Silence settles, heavy warm. Older villagers exchange glances, impressed. Boy looks stunned. Not sure, praised, reprimanded. Now, judge adds, help sister grind grain tomorrow morning. Punishment heresy bothering public elder. Girl grins hard, nearly falls stool. Trial ends. Judge stands real time, knees cracking audibly. Try not summon next week, says walks away. Passes mat, stops, looks down. Quiet tonight, says. You shrug. Just listening. Good, replies. First step wisdom, last one too. Disappears night. Staff tapping softly stone. Gathering dissolves ink water. Neighbors peel homes. Children scooped arms. Older folks stretch backs, exaggerated groans. Girl reported brother offers roasted fig piece, offering awkwardness. Accept. Fig sweet, sticky, slightly smoky. Fire burned low, bowl warm orange coals. Uncle mumbling bedtime story, no one particular. Donkey found gold, refused share. Half family herd, no one stops. Lie back, hands folded head, eyes stars. Somewhere sky, imagine Ra's boat passing overhead, blazing silently darkness, dragging sun. Think God's stories today. Hathor, Toweret, Bez, now Ra. Each tangled world reads Nile. Some worship, joke, argue public trials, all threaded breath. Meals, chores, mistakes. Last laughter fades. Silence creeps, realize else. Not quiet exhaustion, quiet balance, Ma'at. Tomorrow begin sandals, onions, sweat gods, watch whisper. Right middle, up sun. Not paragon virtue discipline. Rooster decided 4:30 a.m. Reasonable scream universe. Mat lumpy, back remembers chores. Sit rubbing eyes. Moment wonder, lie pretend floor. Hear first clatterbread making courtyard. Sound means mother awake. She's awake, borrowed time. Rise, air cool. Not cold, never truly. Fresh makes skin tighten, thoughts sharpen. Stars fading. Eastern horizon glows faint pink promise. Tie linen sash, loosely wander courtyard. Fire going, coaxed life last coals. Mother kneeling hearth, hands coated flour. Doesn't look, says, grind barley. No better argue. Take place grinding stone, flat basalt slab, paired smaller oval stone. Same tool grandmother used, grandchildren probably use. Begin motion back forth, pressing, dragging hard, turning rough barley almost flour. Arms ache minutes, back protests, fingers sting yesterday's blisters. Eternal rhythm Egyptian household, not pyramids, not temples. Back forth, dust grain. Glance sister, shaping dough. Clumsy determined. Hums breath. Tuneless cheerful. Mother sprinkles herbs, cooking pot, intensity priest, anoint statue. Fire hisses. Grinding stone grates. Child sneezes next courtyard. Day begins. Time's sun shows golden face. Fresh flatbread smell fills air. First batch lumpy, scorched bottom. Mother says nothing. Eats half, hands rest, moves. Take portion perch while eat. Crispy, warm, earthy. Smear garlic one side, flex mint. Perfect, imperfect things. Chew, village wakes. Someone hauls water. Someone yells donkey. Baby cries reason baby. Above, sky brighter blue. Glance horizon spot dust trail distance. Small group approaching village. Traders maybe, messengers. Outlines shimmer morning light. Visitors means news. Hop wall, wiping hands sash. Curiosity hums chest. New day, new arrival, new twist familiar rhythm. Even life repetition, grinding grain, baking bread, rising sun, change creeps. Awake early notice, dust cloud closer, resolving shapes. 3 men, donkey, slightly wobbly cart. Cart stacked bundles, faded cloth. 1 man waving lazily, tired saying hello. Handful curious villagers drift road edge. Not official, people do strangers arrive. Bring eyes, ears. Lead man older, wiry, skin leather voice, sandpaper clay. Morning beauties, calls, amused sleepy faces. Bring stories, spices, gossip can't resist. Like instantly, traders dismount. Donkey, donkeys, chooses nearest shady spot, refuses move. Villagers crowd cartmen, unwrap goods. Bundles dyed linen, glazed faience beads, tiny perfume pots, carved stoppers. Things afford love touch. Everyone wants news. Anything Memphis? Someone asks. Nile flooding early year? Another chimes. Pharaoh finally marry Princess East? Woman asks, not pretending political. Older trader holds hands dramatically. One time. Get rumors. Truth extra. Laughter. Coins jingle. Someone hands barley beads bartering information. Hang back, listening. Bits pieces drift smoke. Crocodile attacked boat thieves. Priest arrested selling fake amulets. Scribe wrote love poems someone else's name caught woman man stole. All absurd. All delicious. Neighbor leans whispers. Same stories every season. Different names. Grin. Doesn't matter. Make air buzz. Trader produces crumpled, cracked papyrus scroll holds aloft. Decree says, city. Voice drops. Looking young workers, smart, scribes. Granary records north. Quiet shift crowd. Feel cousin tense beside. Work granary, not glamorous, paid. Importantly, new. Village kind, small. Small everyone knows father's laugh, worst mistake. Idea leaving, even stamped documents count baskets grain. Suddenly wide open door. Cousin speaks first. How many? Trader shrugs. 10, maybe 12. Young, literate, hands don't tremble. Stomach tightens. What test? Gestures, ink pot. Make ink. Out. That's it. Blink. Test. Follow directions. Grind burnt acacia bark. Mix water gum. Stir broken reed, messy, smells sharp earthy roasted wood spit. Mixture thicker, clings brush nicely. Dips pen, tests scrap. That'll do. Sits, stretching back. Says, want north? Need recommendation. Give pass one test. Stomach tightens. What test? Says, make ink. Out. That's test. Follow. Grind burnt acacia bark. Mix water gum. Stir broken reed. Messy. Smells sharp, earthy roasted wood spit. Mixture thicker. Clings brush nicely. Dips pen. Tests scrap. That'll do. Sits again, slowly. Looks kind gaze makes feel 10 years old, 3,000 wise. Got something, says. Not sure say, don't. Not smartest, adds. Not quickest. Listen. Pay attention. Fix mistakes. Didn't spill ink cat. Puts ahead last 3. Cat, cue. Stretches dramatically lap. Nods. Tell trader one picks. Other many uncle priesthood, rather not cursed. Manage breathless thank. Waves off. Still walk, carry pack. Get, nobody. Apprentice hot room copying grain counts fingers fall off. Nod, inside shift sounds wonderful. Stays with. Day departure sooner expected. Always. Wake different silence. Not usual lazy hum village rising sun. Crisp stillness. World holding breath. Belongings packed. Small satchel spare linen tunic. Tightly bound roll best writing samples. Pouch dried figs. Importantly, small ink pot gifted village scribe. Not new, not uncracked, holds pigment loyal friend. Mother stands door, arms crossed, not scolding, weeping, watching. Beside sister, half asleep, clutching old woven cloth royal banner. Tie sandals slowly, dragging moment. Finally, mother says, don't forget barley comes? Nod. Understand means, not bread. Roots, step rising sun. Group small, 6 nearby villages. Gathered roadside pale dawn light. Trader back, extra donkey, less theatrical greeting. Nods, hands, walking sticks canteens. Take place line. Begin walking north, fields thin. Tight patchwork barley emmer wheat gives long dusty grassland stretches. Broken occasional acacia tree standing alone marker time. Conversation quiet first. Everyone nervous. Wondering measure up, dreams spun, head solid, felt village hearths warm. Chat boy riverside town. Taller, older hands, calloused years palm weaving. Wants record keeper, says can't remember glyph tax exemption. Ominous start. Trader tells stories walk. Not polished sells markets, raw. Talks scribes lost count jars, ended hauling bricks disgrace. Clear copied royal order wrong, accidentally rerouted grain shipment flooded city. Tells shrug, dropping seeds dirt see grow. Still want job? Asks smirk. Answer hesitation. Yes. Answers. Good. Means probably right. Mid-morning, sun-high legs ache nothing ambition. Donkey refuses hurried. Younger boy group tripped twice. Delta girl blister date pit size, none matters round bend C. Outline scribal compound, low wide, tucked date palms grove. Doesn't look much. Mud brick walls, reed roofs, courtyard 2 students arguing proper glyph crocodile. Might palace raw. Don't walk scribal compound, inch. Not nerves, entirely. Wait every step new. New dust underfoot, new smells. Ink reed ash, hint sweat. New eyes watching shaded doorways. Courtyard cluttered practice boards. Sandals kicked lazy heaps. Students muttering breath-casting spells. Lean man shaved head crooked nose steps forward. Kilt-stained ink hem, arms crossed, tells already unimpressed. New ones, says, not waiting reply. Hope hands don't shake. Gestures follow, turns quick sandals slap stone. Trail like dust cart. Leads main hall, rectangular space pillars make room feel larger. Long, low tables center. Reed pens lined soldier stacks, wooden writing boards, old black smudges. Students sit backs hunched, brows furrowed. Lips twitching whisper soundless lines. Man turns. Hotep. Call teacher. Forget. Call mudbrain. Believe. Begins tour, called, pointing ink room, off limits, water jars, one person day, latrine, don't write. Asks names, once, doesn't wait spell. Assigned space far table. Got ink stains, shape duck half-carved doodle woman exaggerated eyelashes. Smile. Someone years ago sat daydream too. Hotep slaps tablet front. Right flood calendar memory. Stomach flips. Flood calendar things. Close eyes moment, summoning rhythm. Recited, muttered fetched water. Whispered couldn't sleep. Still fingers tremble lift brush. Akhet. Inundation begin. Perret. Emergence. Shemu, harvest. Continue 12 months. Rhythm surfacing chant. Heartbeat. Tiki hut. Stumble slightly order. Recover. Finish. Look up. Hotep doesn't smile. Nods. Won't disgrace. Didn't realize holding breath someone coughs nearby. Let long sigh. Rest day blurs. Practice glyphs. Ink mixing. Repetition. Book dead passages. Case temple checks. One break trade, dried figs, pickled onion, Delta girl. Without doubt, delicious eaten weeks. Sunset, backaches, fingers numb. Writing gone steady, shaky. Break during traded dried figs, pickled onion, Delta girl. Delicious eaten weeks. Break, trade dried figs, pickled onion, Delta girl. Doubt delicious eaten weeks. By sunset, backaches, fingers numb, writing steady, shaky. Dismissed students spill courtyard splash water faces, sigh survivors. Something flares chest. Belong. Hard mess, belong. And somewhere far, sister probably grinding barley humming. First time, sound mind, feels home, future once. Settle rhythm scribal life, faster expect. Faster intake group, earns half nod hotep. Equivalent standing ovation. Jealous grumbles boy, kept calling Perret planting season emergence. Days begin sun properly crested horizon. Compound wakes, slow grown clatter water jars. Sandals slapping clay. Someone retching yesterday's pickled onions. Reason cheap. Wash face communal basin. Sit cross-legged mat, others arrive. Brush hand. Papyrus flattened. Every morning starts copying maxims. Wise sayings, dead pharaohs, half-forgotten viziers. Feel written, torment tired students. Mouth fool trap own feet. Lazy hand, hungry belly. Hotep claims teach moral character. Suspect enjoys watching sweat sentence 5 row. Once catches muttering, scribe no hunger anyway? Doesn't punish. Looks long hard says, think scribe's never hungry. Sticks notice things. Older students write effortlessly, toss glyphs brushing dust sleeves, not rich families. One, Nefru, sandals worn straps tied papyrus twine. Another, eats thin lentil soup night. No matter trade, not lucky. Clawed way like Hotep assigns assist inventory room. Honor, trusts not miscount. Think handwriting Niedermen's, makes K glyphs falling birds. Inside room, face rows storage amphory reed bins, clay tags, thrilling, shelf old ledgers, nearly 3 decades. Not supposed read. Naturally, that's change. One older books, tucked grain receipts, flood predictions, find list. list names. Scribes became temple administrators, royal tax officers, record keepers, foreign expeditions. Names mean nothing. One stops cold. Name old village scribe, man gave first ink pot. Suddenly, everything snaps place. Quiet Way watched copy. Way handed papyrus word. Ink recipe memorize. Not training leave. Passing on. Run finger faded ink name. Not carved stone. Won't last forever there. Written proof, quiet life, loud echoes. Next day, return inventory room early, earlier supposed. Light oil lamp, brush trail beetle shells, ledger shelf, open old book. Something sacred now. Read margins, carefully time. Fingers trailing neat columns, faded corrections. Smudge, hasty glyph. Human hands touching time. Wonder teacher, redo page, someone let mistake slide, floodwaters late, no one cared. Measured half basket spelled. Part no one tells. Scribes don't write, edit history. Spend morning, 1 foot past one present. Tallying barley jars, correcting men's absurd miscounts. Record 4 baskets 3? Maybe one imaginary. Absorbed numbers. Almost miss visitor arrival. Compound quiet someone held reed throat. Hotep's voice echoes hallway. Stand, drop brush. Step courtyard, royal inspector. Kind gold-trimmed sandals, scrolls make priest blink. Walks owns Nile. 2 assistants trail, carrying writing boards, bundle scrolls tied crimson cord. Here, performance evaluations. Didn't know real. Inspector wastes time. Gestures student. Daddy lentil soup boy. Rattles dates. Grain counts. Obscure shipping decrees. Daddy answers flawlessly. Inspector grunts. Note. Turns you. Scribe. Give flood prediction coming season. Tell yield Perrette. Rise fall. Mouth dry. Run numbers head. Quick. Faster. Nile peaked earlier year. Predictions, lower rainfall, southern provinces. Remember clay tablet 2 weeks? Cracked riverbanks, temple rationing. Breath. Yield fall, say, steady. Lower inundation levels. Kush delayed rainfall planting weeks. Hotep watching, expression unreadable. Inspector nods. Source supports? Almost smile. Ledger 18, lines 14-28. Trade report southern barge logs cross-reference temple rainfall records. Inspector nods. Stops writing. Then, astonishment, smiles. Flicker approving. Brief accident. Nods. Moves. Later night. Sit rooftop stolen fruit legs, dangling warm air. Sky velvet black. Littered stars impossibly old. Exhausted, something inside hums quiet golden oil fire. Hotep climbs stairs silently, sits beside. Moment, neither speak. Says, not loudest, fastest, see clearly, matters more. Don't answer, don't have. Down below, flickering torchlight, another student hunched writing board, glyphs crooked smudged. Remember feeling realized not surviving anymore, becoming. Wake dawn, not must, want. No things changed. No dragging feet basin, no groaning pick brush. Time up stars twinkling, ink pot uncorked fingers, tracing glyphs air muscle memory. Feels breath, ritual, writing seeped bones. Hotep downstairs sipping barley tea. Raises eyebrow sees. Gods whisper glyphs dreams. Grin, shouted. Grunts approval. Day assignment unlike before. Selected 1 other student record rituals, Temple Thoth, monthly tribute Sishat, goddess writing. Not copy, assist, record. No longer student dusty feet ink sleeves. Scribe. Walk temple slow heavy heat. Palm trees cast long shadows, sandy path. Breeze carries hints, incense roasted chickpeas, street stalls. Approach white limestone walls. Heart knocks drum. Inside gates, stepping another world. Priests Thoth draped pale linen shimmer. Heads shaved, faces painted kohl. Voices hushed reverent murmur. Handed writing kit, shown small bench 2, reed pens, sheet fresh papyrus await. Smoothed, blank, waiting history unfold. Don't time panic. Procession begins immediately. First offering bearers enter. Laden baskets dates. Honeycomb, dried fish lotus leaves. Musicians, flutes, sistrums, soft drums mimic Nile heartbeat. Finally, high priest, arms lifted ceiling, chanting invocation rolls, skin warm water. Dip pen right. Not every word, breath, essence, rhythm, order, feeling. Catch half-whispered prayer temple boy. Record phrase high priest repeats 3 times. Note, strange curved knife slice pomegranate. Oil flickers blue ceremonial lamp. Everything matters. Immersed work, barely noticed ceremony ends. Soft hand taps shoulder. Head priest, taller expected, voice worn linen. See well, says, glancing scroll. Many don't. Lingers, doesn't have. Exit temple, light outside blinding. Squint, roll scroll carefully, clutch tight. Not fear losing, alive. Birthed something. Evening, back compound. Hotep doesn't ask went. Hands new scroll case, clean oiled leather, single hieroglyph, painted front. Glyph scribe. More, glyph memory. Now yours. No grand graduation, papyrus diploma, sistrum playing parade. Instead, final day student arrives quietly. Courtyard helping younger boy straighten glyphs justice. Hotep calls name, not bark, flat finality. Glance. Standing gate, arms folded, scroll hand, sealed appointment scroll. Appointment. New coming. Still, hands tremble walk. Offers scroll wordlessly. Take. Heavier looks. Stamped red wax. Tied temple cord. Name etched carefully beneath glyph scribe. Run thumb wax. Real, yours. Assigned granary records, Memphis. First real post. Hotep watches absorb news. Says, don't mess. Pauses. Almost reluctantly adds, expect much. Better expecting nothing. Nod, not trusting voice. Leave sunrise next day. No ceremony, farewell. Few nods classmates. Stolen hug, Delta girl traded onions. Boy couldn't write justice, whispering, catch up. Believe. Road Memphis dry flat. Wind sharp dust, barely feel. Scroll case side swing step, feels drum beat, beating forward. City walls rise horizon, tall, sun-bleached, crawling workers' pigeons, feel weight tasks settle. Not here make statues lead armies. Here, remember, count grain record truth, mark births, debts, flood levels. Write words outlive voices. Words become memory, myth, dust, somehow still matter. First day granary chaos. Workers shouting, baskets breaking, ledgers missing. Given corner table, 3 assistants argue, counts full sack. Mid-morning, brush steady. Write totals, check entries. Cross error clean red ink. Feel strange piece purpose. Later week, merchant Thebes arrives whirlwind gold jewelry complaints. Cargo list doesn't match scrolls. Tempers rise. Someone suggests copying error. Step forward. No, original correct. Fault barge logs. Scoffs. You, meet eyes. Scribe. Say without flinching. Blinking, everyone hears. Night walk Memphis streets alone. City hums. Priest chanting. Children playing. Drunk men singing badly off key. Sit river watching boats sway moonlight unwrap palm leaf packet. Inside small crumbling reed brush tied red thread, old one kept, maybe day pass. Not yet. Tonight stays hand. Because once village boy inky fingers dusty dreams. Now one writing down. Nile flows softly dark. Sit embankment edge, scroll case beside, knees hugged close. Stars smeared sky spilled milk. Air hums memory chants. Footsteps, soft brushes papyrus. Somewhere nearby, scribe working candlelight, muttering glyphs breath. Imagine making strokes did. Careful, quiet, deliberate, breathe. Remember calloused fingers first, teacher. Cracked lips market woman, gave second date free. Warmth sisters singing barley fields. Sounds don't make scrolls, echo. Because long kingdoms fall, temples crumble. Someone pick fragment wrote. Read flood dates recorded, tax tallied, chant captured, see not ink, see. Child didn't know glyph lotus. Student got ink sleeves, scribe saw clearly. And now listener followed way end. Close eyes. Feel hum river. Wait scroll lap. Warmth reed brush worn smooth grip. Walked temples training halls. Counting rooms courtrooms. Made here. Still, steady dreaming. Good night, little scribe. Sleep deep.